Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Wow, even a welcome gets a round of applause. Wow, that's fantastic. That means we have an energized group tonight, or at least one person's energized. Welcome. Well, hopefully you're all getting settled in. Get your red hot bagels over in the corner, or red cold bagels. I'm not quite sure what they are, but we've got bagels and bread. We've got coffee. So if you want to go ahead and get yourself settled in, we're going to go ahead and get started. One of the things, as we get ready to go into all this, I want to also do a PSA tonight. We are now on orders from the church to be out of here at 10 o'clock. So hopefully I've got everybody's attention that we need to be out of here by 10. So the way you're going to know that we need to be out of here by 10 is like when all of a sudden it looks like there's a power outage because there's no lights on in here. That's my little signal to let you know it's time to take that networking outside. Okay? All right, so to get us into a formal start point, I'm going to hand the mic over to Media to lead us in prayer.
Shall we stand to honor God? Right now, we also want to remember a CNM volunteer who at this moment is in the hospital. She's had a terrible accident, and as far as I know from the reports, she's still in the hospital. She is still in a coma. So we want to pray for her and pray for her family. If you will remember Melody, who serves us every Tuesday night outside at the doors and sometimes circulating in here. So we want to remember her and her healing. Well, merciful God, our Father, we thank you, we bless you, and we honor your name tonight. The first thing we want to do is to call on you for a little bit of a touch from the hem of your garment for the healing of our sister Melody. She has met with a terrible accident. And so, Lord, while she lies in the hospital, we want to ask in the name of Jesus that you lay your hands on her, that she be healed from the top of her head to the bottom of her foot, that all pain, all discomfort, everything that will cause your handmaiden to suffer come to an end. We are waiting to know whether or not you will allow her to continue among us or whether you want to gather her to yourself. Whatever you decide to do, you are sovereign. We remember that. May your will be done as it is in heaven, so will it be on the earth. We would just ask you to have mercy on her. And please be gentle as you take care of her family, as they gather around, as they wait, as they watch. We just want to be near so that we can give all the help that we can. So we're asking you tonight to touch her with the finger of your love. While we're here standing before you tonight, we also want to thank you for bringing us here to this meeting tonight. We want you to please come by and bless everything that will go on that is in the perfect will. Lord, we know that you have for us a hope and a future. We have hope that one day we will rejoin the workforce. We have all the expectation that there is a person, there is a position out there for each of us. And so we gather in this place. Please, Lord, we're just asking tonight to please show us the way. Please show us to walk right in your footsteps in the perfect will, so that that position will be ours according to what you have already spoken into our lives. All of this we're asking in our Savior's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Media. It's a reminder that we just never know what's going to happen each and every day. and to cherish the time we have with each other. One of the things, a great amount of time that we have with each other is the time we spend with each other here to help us with our career search and our job search, and really our volunteers become an extension of our family. And so we thank all of our volunteers and thank you for helping each other, whether you're officially a volunteer and have your plastic name badge or not. We appreciate all that you do for each other. So I think that's one of the best and greatest strengths that we provide here as a community and as a ministry here, where you get a chance to be together and help and support each other. So we do have some announcements, but I always like to start off with celebrating some of our intermediary steps, our intermediary victories. So those of you that have actually had an in-person interview, would you please stand up so we can give you a round of applause? If you've had an in-person interview, please stand up and keep standing. Great. Fantastic. All right, we want to add to your ranks. Those of you that have actually had a phone interview, would you please stand up so we can give you a round of applause? All right, terrific. Now we're going to add to your ranks those of you that have at least met one other person this past week that you've connected with on LinkedIn, you've been at a networking event, that you think is going to help you with your career search. Would you please stand up so we can give you a round of applause? All right, those of you that are standing know the drill. What do we say to people that are still sitting down?
Get to work.
Get to work. Okay, all right. Now, there's another group that we always want to acknowledge because it's a leap of faith sometimes to drive into this mega church, especially if you're not a member, and see all of these bodies mulling about and running off into all these different rooms and all these conversations going on, and you're going, what am I doing here? Those of you that are first timers, we want to give you a warm welcome. Those of you that have the red border around your name tag, we know you're first timers. Would you please stand up so we can give you a round of applause and welcome you here? Thank you for being here tonight. And as always, I think I see Terry is still here. I don't know if Dwayne's still here. One of the things we haven't acknowledged lately is our people that do our orientations for our first timers. So can we give Dwayne and Terry a round of applause for all they do to make sure that they're all known? Thank you. I mean, you only have one chance to make a first impression, right? So we put a lot of trust in those guys to make sure they don't mess it up. And they do a great job. So thank you both. Okay, we do have some other announcements. Where's Melissa? Melissa, do you want to come up and you have a couple of announcements? Where is she? Is she amongst our ranks? Melissa. All right, so Melissa is not amongst our ranks. John, you got a job announcement, I guess, right? Come on up. John, one of our wonderful volunteers. Let's give him a round of applause. It's like every week he's sending me an email saying, yeah, I got one other job to announce. One other job to announce. I mean, we are here to help place you, so it's wonderful when people actually come with openings. So thank you, John.
Hi, as Mal said, my name is John Brown. I work with Bread for the World. We're a nonprofit in D.C. Right now we have a media relations manager that we're advertising. This one just came out today. We're looking for somebody to lead and manage and direct our comprehensive and diversified media program as we fight to end hunger by the year of 2030. I'll be here. You can see me afterwards. Generally, I kind of hang out over there. Thanks.
Thank you, John. And you're getting ready to travel, is that right? Africa. Wow, my goodness. We're you didn't hear we're expanding? We have a new CNM ministry opening up in Africa. All those folks that are unemployed over there, we're just spreading the wealth. One other person I want to point out, and I'm going to keep on doing this because we're going to hear a little bit more about networking tonight, and one of the great ways to network and build your skills and so forth is to interact with organizations, to be able to give back and to volunteer. And we realize that all of these wonderful HR people and resume review people and recruiters that walk in our doors, why don't we tap into their talent to help us recruit more volunteers for what we're trying to accomplish? So now he's getting ready to hide behind the AV stand. He's saying hello to Dave. Paul, just when I get ready to announce you so you can wave. Paul. Paul, there we go. So everybody take a look. Paul's hiding. See, he doesn't want to be in it. All of you guys just can't wait to get that job at CNM because our pay is so high. Right? We really pay him big bucks, right, Paul?
Mal, I wasn't hiding. I was working.
You're working. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I see. And other duties as a sign. That's that little thing at the bottom of Paul's job description. So anyway, if you're interested in volunteering, Paul has been kind enough to take the lead role of being our volunteer recruiter, and he is finding out from our various teams where we need help. And I guarantee you, we need help with all of our teams. And I've joked many a time, having done this for 5 years with the group, that if we were to hire all of you into our own company, we have one amazing organization. So we know we got a lot of talent out in this room, so if you think there's some way that you can give back and we can leverage that talent, or doesn't always have to mean we leverage your talent. Maybe you're looking to build a new skill, and here's a non-threatening way to do that. Please see Paul, because we have plenty of opportunities to get you engaged, because it just never fails. Everybody keeps on coming up with more new ideas of what we can be doing, and we've got a wonderful pool of talent to leverage to make those things happen. So thank you. And you have an announcement? All right, great. Susan?
Hi everybody, I'm Susan Hoffman. I teach the LinkedIn 101 table over here. If anybody's interested in a free lesson on business blogging, I'm teaching a workshop this Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. over in McLean, if anyone's interested in attending.
Where?
The address is the Tech Corner building. It's 1616 Anderson Road in McLean. And it'll be from 10 to 11 a.m. this Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Susan's really been aggressively going after that in her job search. Susan, can we ask a favor? Could you post that in our LinkedIn discussion group, just in case anybody misses it or they want to pass the word along?
Yeah.
Great. All right, perfect. And we found Melissa. All right, so here's Melissa. That's all right. She was doing all the more important stuff out in the hallway, I'm sure. So here's Melissa.
I was doing the marketing workshop plan, and if you haven't been there, you should go. So I have 2 announcements. So if everyone see my badge, you could focus on my badge. We have another Toastmasters meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 14th. Is that the 14th? What's today? 19th. Thank you. It's on Tuesday next week. It will be posted on meetup.com as well as on LinkedIn. And again, we're looking to charter. So we're looking for a few good men and women to step up and speak up and have fun at our Toastmasters meeting next Tuesday. Secondly, and it has nothing to do with Toastmasters, but it could be if you wanted it to, I have some free baseball tickets to the Potomac Nationals game this Thursday, and I've got maybe 10 or 15 left or so. Again, it's in the Prince William County area. It's the farm team for the Nationals club, so it's fun, and I've got free tickets, and the game is this Thursday, which is the 14th. At 7 o'clock. So just see me in the back. I'll be toward the back end of the room. Thanks. Thanks, Mal.
Thanks, Melissa. All right. Well, now you're stuck with me for the rest of the evening. So who'd like to see if we'll switch microphones? Ah, there we go. Now I can wander. So first off, again, welcome. So here's what's happened to me over the years being involved with CNM. One of the things that we've been able to do, which has just been absolutely amazing, is we just keep on getting all of these great speakers from around our area, even from outside of our area, that come in and have all this wonderful expertise. And so the little folk like me, you know, we get sort of pushed to the side because you hear me enough, and you know, I probably just regurgitate all the good stuff all these people come through and give presentations on. But the one thing that we always get a little sensitive to is that job search sometimes can be, unfortunately, a little too passive for people. And you may say, what do you mean by passive? I'm submitting resumes and doing all this stuff all the time, and I'm doing my cover letters. Passive means when you come into this room and you get all of these great insights from various presenters, sometimes the problem is you don't go home and do your homework. And I mean, a perfect example is I know the number of times that John Venable will say, well, how many of you have done your elevator speech? By a show of hands, how many of you actually have an elevator speech you're going out and using right now? Okay, so what a great job we are doing of getting 100% compliance on something we think is so important for your job search. And you know how that pains us? Because we're looking out amongst this flock, and we're assuming that you really do want that next job. You're not just here because you have nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. And the stories that we hear are not fabrications, that you really are trying to find your next opportunity. Yet, sometimes we just don't apply ourselves in the way that we need to apply ourselves. And so what's happened is sometimes I'm asked to present, and when I do the presentation, try to make it a little bit more engaging, a little bit more fun, a little bit different than just the sage on the stage. And I won't claim to be the sage on the stage, but I have a few opinions on this process, having hung with this group for 5 years now and going to the White House and having conversations with 2 secretaries of labor. It's amazing the knowledge you build over a period of time. And I never started out being a career support guy, you know, when I got into the business world. So tonight's going to be about networking. And if you're not networking, you're not working. So those of you, when we joked about how many of you have actually connected with someone else over this past week that you think is going to help you with your job search, how good do you think that is if you really haven't done any of that? In the big scheme of things, do you think you're going to have that much higher success rate by applying to a job on Monster or on Indeed versus going out and building your network? What do you think? I mean, how many times have we heard about the hidden job market and that people are hiring based on character and competence? Well, how are they going to know about your character through Monster? How are they going to know about your character through Indeed? How are they going to even know about your character through LinkedIn? But what's great about LinkedIn? LinkedIn allows you to actually have this very creative profile that you usually can't do those kinds of things in a resume. It just doesn't fit. But you can do that on LinkedIn. So it's really about networking. And if you're not doing that, you're at a handicap. Now, I have a number of people that come up to me all the time in CNM and will say to me, gee, Mal, you know, I'm tired of doing this work. I really want to get into this. And I'm thinking about it, you know, how am I going to move into that spot? And of course, I've heard enough recruiters talk about, well, you know, we're going to go down the checkbox and we're going to see how many of those skills and attributes you have for that position. And if you don't have X percentage of them, we're probably not going to look at you. So how do you break that cycle? Even if all of you could go out and get certified in whatever it is the next thing you want to learn about or and do in the workplace, what do you think is the first thing out of somebody's mouth after you've gotten certified and you go apply? How much experience do you have? Right? Didn't you hear that story when you got out of college? You know, it's the same thing. And are we in a competitive marketplace right now?
Extremely, extremely.
So going out and getting that certification is a good first step, but it still runs the problem of how much experience do you have? So why do you think that I might hire someone who is newly certified, doesn't have as much experience as a bunch of different resumes I might be looking at? Why am I going to hire someone, say, in this room different than someone who on paper looks stronger? What do you think? You know them, and knowing them could be presumably a good thing. I might know them and say, no, 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 you're not working for me. But you know, so the issue is if I really know you and I've seen you perform, if I've seen you work, and now you have an opportunity to maybe do what I need in my organization, what's the likelihood I might at least consider you? Oh, the probability goes up substantially. And that's the kind of thing sometimes when people that have all the experience get fried about. They're going, hey, I got 20 years of experience, and they just hired this person that's only been doing it for 2 years. What's going on? Well, they made a connection somehow. So how many of us love to do networking? You know, sometimes just even the word just throws us into a tizzy, right? It's like interviewing. How many of you love to interview? You know? So sometimes it's a frame shift. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to have some fun. That's probably the most amount of talking I'm going to do before we get into some engaging stuff. But I want to go through and we're going to talk a little bit more about networking and get you to do some work. Okay. So So the objective tonight is try to have a little bit of fun, a chance to meet some other people. You know, one of the things, just like right now, how many of you are really engaging with other people at your table? Right now, not much. You're listening to me, right? In fact, you're being very respectful. I appreciate that. Don't engage with each other a lot right now, then I think I'm really boring and you just don't want to hear me anymore. But thank you for your attention and respect. I appreciate that. Also, a different way to learn about how to present yourself, and if you're willing to play along, maybe you might get a chance to win something. But you got to behave. Okay, so I'm gonna buy your attention. How's that? How's that for being very crass? Okay, so do you come to CNM prepared to network? So, what does preparation mean to you? My guess is, just by the show of hands of the number of people that have actually prepared their elevator speech, I'll make you bet your sense of preparation is, hopefully you're bringing a portfolio to take notes. Hopefully you're bringing a pen to write those notes down. And you've made sure your ears are clean and you shut up when the main person is presenting to listen and try to write down what they're saying. How much more preparation are you doing when you walk in the door? Candidly, I'll make you bet, if you were really prepared, what would you be doing? You'd have your job search marketing plan done. You'd have your elevator speech done. You'd be making sure that you're meeting new people every chance you get. The number of people that actually come up to me, you know, as we tell people the best way to start networking when you're going to an event is go network with the people that are the hosts and hostesses of the meeting. Now, how many people actually really objectively come up and introduce themselves to me and do a short but brief introduction, here's what I'm looking for, or tell me more about you, and move on? It's actually a pretty small percentage. And how many volunteers do we have working here?
130.
We have a lot of volunteers that could be in your network if you were reaching out to them. So, think about what it means to come here and to be prepared. You know, I remember interacting with a guy who was like the VP of HR for, I believe it was Marriott. And he said his boss used to say that every interaction with an employee was an assessment opportunity. And he said he didn't like that. That sounded a little too harsh. He said every interaction with an employee was a development opportunity. Every interaction you have with each other is an assessment/development opportunity. You know, it's a tough thing to realize that as much as we come into this environment and we think we are able to let our hair down and relax and be forthcoming with things and so forth, that's all true. You know, we empathize, we know where you're coming from, but guess what? You're still sizing up. That's just what we do as human beings. We're still trying to learn, we're trying to discover what makes you tick. So the people that I know best in this room that I could probably recommend, who do you think they are?
Volunteer.
Volunteers? Why? Because I get a chance to see them work. I interact with them. So think about that from a standpoint of how do you prepare, you know, what does preparation mean when you're going? What do you bring with you? So we've talked a little bit about that. What do you hope to get when you're done? So obviously, most of you are looking on Meetup, you see the speaker and you go, oh, you know, it's like, hey, CNM's own Dr. Mallard Owen, you know, creative networking. You go, oh gosh, he's going to dump all this wealth of knowledge on me. Well, maybe, maybe not. But what else can you gain from being here tonight, besides all the other breakout sessions? How many of the people that are standing up in the front of the room do you think are really going to be the sole source of finding you that next job? I wish I was that good. I wish I could guarantee you, just come up and meet with me and I'll have you a job next week. So the chances are that it's your networking that you're doing amongst each other that is really going to help you land your next opportunity. And how many of you do really come and go and think of it like they have a cash bar, if that's, or whatever the deal is. Imagine this is that hotel and you're here and you're networking tonight. How many of you actually walk into this environment with that mindset? Anybody? A few hands. Okay. Do you think it should be everybody? I would hope. There's probably somebody, really important in this room that you should connect with. Nejwa and I, we had this whole story. Nejwa got up and was talking about an opportunity she had to go work for some place. She was saying that, you know, it was a part-time thing, but there were some benefits to this. And when she was talking about it, she wasn't really sure. And when we were all done, I said, Nejwa, by the way, I've been in that industry for like 15 years. Would you like to talk to me about it? I might give you some insights. You know, you should know that much about it, the other people that are in this room. So when you come, you can try to find those people that can actually help you with your job search. How many of you have even done that? How many of you actually, so I'm going to even pose this as another question. So here you are, you're coming to CNM tonight. Do we have something called a meetup group?
Yeah.
Yes. Do we have something called a CNM LinkedIn group? Yes. How many of you actually do a search on either one of those sites when you're thinking about what you want to pursue and say, you know what, I got to go seek out that person because that person is in the industry that I want to get into. Or they're working, or they used to work at that company that I want to go work at. Have any of you done that? Actually, before you come to a meeting, actually do the research on CNM's LinkedIn group and say, you know what, I need to go talk to Mallard Owen because this is what his background is. I looked into that. How many of you have done that when you walked in on a Tuesday? 1, 2. Now, either you didn't put antiperspirant on tonight, so you don't want to raise your hand. But my guess is that might be a fairly true assessment. You know, sometimes we get a little shy about raising our hand because we just don't want to make that effort. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised that there aren't that many of you that actually do that. Why not? Do you really want to find your next job? Right? I mean, sometimes do you ever look in the mirror and say, I'm doing certain things that make sense? Other things I'm going, well, why am I not doing those things? So if someone's really holding the mirror up for you and saying, if you're really serious about this, what would you do? I guarantee you. So here's the other thing. Think about you in the workplace. How many of you would describe yourself as lazy in the workplace? Anybody out there? Show your hands. One back. Thanks, Dave. The former life. That was before you saw the light, right? That was before you hit puberty. I mean, seriously, how many, you don't think about being lazy at work. How many of you actually, when you're in the workplace, realize that your promotion, your opportunity for advancement is by going above and beyond? Right? You get that? So think about what you're doing right now with your job search, with things like networking and the things we talked about here. How many of you would score yourself as going above and beyond for this job? Other than, I'm going to sit in front of the computer and I'm going to keep tossing out those applications, I'm going to throw them up here. How many other things are you doing? What do employees typically look for from you in the workplace? Do they look for you to say, yes, sir, whatever you tell me, sir, or ma'am? Or is it being creative? Is it taking initiative? Is it doing things out of the box? Is it being thoughtful about what the business really needs to get done to be successful? Isn't that a fair statement of what typically employers are looking for? So how are you using those? What kind of mindset are you in right now when it comes to your job search? Are you thinking of this time in your life where you're in between, this is your full-time job? Are you being innovative? Are you being creative? Are you thinking out of the box? Are you looking for that promotion, which for you is going to be landing my next job? Yes?
Now, you need to give our little group credit since we're meeting with you tomorrow.
Yes. Well, and you know what? And
out of the box.
Thank you. And I do have a ray of sunshine in our group tonight. Because I joke with people, I said, how many, when I was in transition, I did a lot of coffee meetings. And I enjoyed it. And I learned a lot. I tried to help as much as I could. But now that I'm working, I just don't have as much time to do that. And I feel bad. Because you know what? Candidly, I would like to know all of you really well. That's just me. I just really want to do whatever I can to help all of you. So I would really like to know all of you. How realistic is that? That's sort of a tough, that's pretty high expectations of myself to pull that off. And I'm embarrassed sometimes. I may have seen you 20 times and I've gone, who are you? And what's your name? And so it's bothersome to me that I don't get a chance to know you as well as I'd like. But I said, so I can't always do these coffee meetings. And I said, but Has anybody come up and been creative and saying, look, you know what, if we set the time, if we say we're going to have X number of people, because would I rather have a coffee meeting with one person, or would I rather have a coffee meeting if I could meet with 10? Why? More efficient, right? You know, time's valuable, it's more efficient, I can do that. Why do you think I'm here on a Tuesday night? I got a room full of people I can help. Now, whether I do a miserable job at it or a great job at it, at least I've got, you know, these many people here that I can somehow contribute to help. And so, Mary Ann got a group of people together, and the next thing you know, I'm meeting with about 10 people over at Tyson's tomorrow. You know, nothing special other than someone took the initiative to make that happen. So, that's being creative. Yes?
Okay, I have been involved, I think maybe you guys remember the first time I was here. I've been involved mostly with political things all my adult life. And that I think has a lot to do with networking and meeting people. Oh, thank you. That has a lot to do with networking and meeting people and being creative. And I've been doing that. However, I think it's like the old saying, it takes money to make money. If you're not working and you've been unemployed as long as I have, it's tough to say, can you meet me at X place and I will be there. You got to get money together, you got to get yourself together. The practical things make it hard. Can you, I don't know if it's Jermaine, can you address that?
Yeah, that's a tough question. So first off, you're here.
Yeah. With the help of a friend.
You're helping a friend, so leverage it. So, you know, that's sometimes we, you know, there's a philosophy I used to have in business when I would look at a team and we were trying to accomplish something. And I always tried to look at what are the things that are under my control, under our control. What can we control? What we can control is our behaviors, we can control our attitudes, we control our work ethic. We might not be able to control the environment, we might not be able to control, you know, sometimes the funds, but look at what you can control. And my whole point with this is what are all the things that you can be doing and thinking creatively about how to do this, just like me showing up to, you know, 10 people that want to meet with me. I'm not really trying to save money in terms of gas money, but I am trying to save money in terms of time. So, you know, you've got to be creative with this stuff, and the way to be creative is start talking to other people in the room and find out where they're going, where are opportunities to not have to spend money. And volunteering is a great way to go to some of these events and say, if I'm a volunteer, you might not have to be charged for something. Will, you're waving back there. Go ahead.
Okay, if I can add to that. So I've been unemployed, long-term unemployed, twice in the last 4 years. And so 1 year, this last term ended up being 7 months. And so you have to make a decision. Sometimes I'm not going to eat as well. Sometimes I'm only going to eat the bread so I can have money to get the gas to go where I'm going to go. Since a couple of my friends ended up being unemployed at the same time, what we started to do is we got together and we said, okay, those that are employed are going to pay for a meal every now and then for those who are unemployed. And we've kept that up the last 4 years. So we'll still get together once, maybe every other month. And just as a group, we decided that those who have a job are going to pay for those who don't have a job, just so we can still get together, because we need to, you know, we're co-workers, ex-co-workers, but we're also friends. We want to make sure we're building up each other's spirit. So that's a commitment that we've made to each other. So it's one of those being creative, you know, letting your ex-co-workers, your friends, your family know that you're unemployed, and then being willing to accept the help, but then to pay it forward when you do have the job as well. Because money is tight, but you know, whether it's within your church or within your family or within your friends, you know, bearing one another's burdens. So that's just something creative. And like Mal said, if you're here because a friend brought you here, you know, take advantage of that, and then be willing to pay it forward when the shoe's on the other foot. That's
it. Thanks, Rob.
And also, let me give one tip. In the 7 months, one tip, in the 7 months or so I was unemployed, I learned to bundle my trips, because I live in PG County, so here is a hell of a drive coming out here. And I was coming out here probably 3 or 4 days a week, just meeting with different people. What I finally learned to do was I schedule them all on the same day. And so there was one day where I went to job fair in Springfield from 8 to 10, and then I went to Panera. I had an 11 o'clock, I had a 1 o'clock, I had a 3 o'clock, and it happened to be Tuesday, so I guess where I was at 6:30. Panera gets free refills on coffee. So it cost me $1.95 to drink coffee all day with like 4 different people.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Yeah. So the point, which is great, you're in this room and you think the wisdom is up here. Thank you. But these are the kinds of things that if you're not walking in this room saying, who do I want to connect with? What are the challenges I'm dealing with? What can I learn from people in this room? If you don't learn to ask and open up and network and have discussions, you won't learn. Don't you do that in the workplace? Don't you try to figure out how you can be successful in the workplace? Don't you try to find out what the challenges are for the business? Figure out how you can go above and beyond? If you don't, guess what? I don't want to hire you. If you're sitting there right now saying, I've never thought about doing that, guess what? You're in a world of hurt right now because you're not going to get hired. Seriously. We've got recruiters out here all the time that are dealing with a lot of good talent, and if you can't come in and talk about what it means that you have done to be outstanding in the workplace and the things you've done that creatively and so forth, that's stuff you can be doing now. Doing now for your own job search. Have I beaten you up hard enough about this?
Yeah.
Are you starting to think about this stuff a little bit differently? This is what I do when I do consulting. I try to get you to do what I call a frame shift. We're all creatures of habit. When I go in and I do executive coaching, when I work with people, guess what? If it was just as simple as saying, if you want to lose weight, all you got to do is eat less and exercise more. And you could do that tomorrow. Why do we have people that are overweight? You gave them the information. Isn't it pretty straightforward, right? Well, why do we not do that? Because we're in a pattern of behavior. Now, there may be some genetic thing. Forgetting about the genetic stuff. There may be some patterns of behavior, maybe some health issues, yes, but it's not just an intellectual exercise. We've got to get into a different pattern. And the way you can get into a different pattern is what? You've got to open up your mind. You've got to open up your thinking. How do you do that? Do you do that by yourself and go into a little cave and try to be creative? Or do you go out and explore and talk to other people and learn? You got so much talent in this room. Learn from each other. That's the joy of networking, is pick each other's brains. Don't just come to me or Bob or whomever. There's a lot of, you are great talent. So let me remind you, just because you're lazy and you're not doing your elevator speech, shame on you. But get your act together, do that, but then leverage the talent that you have. That's all I'm saying. Okay? All right. So, those of you that are going elevator speech, smellevator speech, what is that? If you don't know what that is, this is what John Venable and his team would be going over with you. And we really should almost take a little bit of time and have you work through that. Have any of you at least gone through the extra, whether you actually have a nice polished one or not, have you at least made an attempt? How many of you have at least made an attempt at an elevator speech? Okay, wonderful, thank you. I'd love to see those hands. Those are the people out there that actually did take a shower and put on some deodorant or whatever. So here's what I'd like you to do. You're not going to do a fully fleshed out, beautiful elevator speech if you really haven't worked at it. But I'd like to give you like 3 minutes. 3 minutes, look at this, figure out something that you can put together as an elevator speech. Write it down right now. Paper and pencil handy. Portfolios out. Pens. I'm looking at everybody going, oh no, homework, oh no, I gotta do some work. Please do this, because guess what? You're gonna be walking around this room sharing that with other people. So don't take it lightly. On your mark. Get set. Go. The instructions are right up in the front of the room if you're not sure. And you've got a question, go ahead, raise your hand, ask, and I'll answer. We'll give it 3 minutes from now. I'll tell you what, 8:35 on the big clock. And we're not looking for perfection, because I had fun.
Now, in the overall view of things, how important do you think it is to have a card to give people?
Okay, let's not, let me
You
let,
don't wanna, okay, because
yeah.
you have your, it's number 6, your card.
Yes, well,
Okay, you gotta talk about that.
yeah.
Okay.
You've got 1 more minute. School's in, school's out, whatever. See, someone actually gave me a bell in case you didn't hear me. So, okay. So you've worked on your elevator speech. Probably is not your best piece of work if you just started tonight, but it's something. So here's what you're going to do. Everybody stand up. What you're going to do is you're going to go find somebody at another table, not at your own table. So you're going to have to move. Sorry. You're going to have to move, and you're going to find someone else at another table, and you're going to share your elevator speech. You've got 60 seconds. I'll ring the bell, and then you're going to do another trade-off, and that person is going to do their elevator speech with you. So when I say go, go find someone, and then I'll tell you when we're going to start. So I'm going to give you some chance to at least find somebody. All right. Go find that other person. Somebody you don't know.
All right, James.
Clear up. Okay, on your mark, get set. Your time starts. Someone's doing their elevator speech. talking because we're going to keep moving. All right, so here's the deal. You're going to go find somebody else that you haven't met yet, and you're going to only have 30 seconds to give your elevator speech. So go find someone you haven't met yet. I'll ring the bell and get you started. You have 30 seconds. Go find someone now. Find someone you don't know now. Make sure you get paired up. All right, on your mark, get set. You have 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds. Switch. 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 Okay, you're done. All right, everybody back to your seats. Have a seat. Have a seat. Get yourself down and get yourself seated, even if you sit in place. All right, do we have some runners with microphones? Okay, everybody stop. So this is interesting, right? Okay, so just out of curiosity, how much does that really feel like networking? You got 60 seconds and 30 seconds. I mean, is that a lot of fun?
No.
Is that really fulfilling? I mean, it's like as soon as you got into a conversation, I'm ringing the bell going, you're done.
Yeah. Feels like speed dating. Yeah.
So, we've got to put the elevator speech a little bit in perspective. Yes?
It's better than speed dating.
Yeah, better than speed dating. Well, if that happens here, I don't want to know about it. No, but we have to understand something when it comes to the elevator speech. You know, there's some... The elevator speech is a tool. It's a tool to use when you have a short amount of time and someone is really looking at you eyeball to eyeball and say, tell me about, you know, what you're interested in. And, you know, unless you're like me and you grew up where you had, you know, 100-story buildings, you don't have a lot of time in an elevator. How fast did those 60, first off, how long did it even take you to get across the room and figure out who you're even going to partner with? That took forever, right? Because you're trying to figure that out. Then once you got started, how quickly did those 60 seconds go by? Like that, right? I couldn't even get you to stop, right? Because if we really did this drill right, when I ring the bell, you're done. Zipped. I don't care if you're mid-sentence. You're done. That's the end. You're done. Now imagine if that's someone's mental attention, that at that point of a minute, you're done. You can be still flapping your lips, but they ain't hearing you, okay? So when I ring that bell, imagine that that's when they just mentally tuned you out. And what do you want to keep doing? Oh, I got to finish my sentence. I got to keep on talking. Well, of course you want to keep talking. The issue is, what are you trying to do? Is it all about you and your talking? Is it all about the connection you're trying to make with that person? You want them to be hungry to hear more about what you want to say, not zipping you out. So if you can't tighten it up where you can get it done in 60 seconds, how satisfying was 30? Did anybody get something done in 30 that you feel good about? Great. All right, so let's see here. Let's talk about this. So finding the right job or finding the right person to connect to the right job is like this. You know, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, you know, especially in today's job market. It would be wonderful if you could just put it out there. I want to be a project manager. Oh, great, come on, we'll hire you right away. Sure. Wow, you're a rare breed. Come on into the organization. We need you. So, you know, how are you going to find this? You know, you're going to find this by connecting with each other. So, and you're not going to get at it this way. Okay, so, when I talk about coming to CNM prepared, when you don't come prepared, you're basically doing this. The only difference is maybe the person with their head in the hay bale has got headphones on, they're listening to the speaker. Oh, the speaker's going to tell me a lot. But are they going to help them find the needle? No. That's your job. Okay. So, how many of you felt tonight just like this? Okay, I knew where I could say, go scramble. Go find that special person out there, right? You just can't wait to get going. You're going, oh, deer in the headlights. Who do I go talk to? You never know, right? Sometimes we look at people and we think, oh, they can't really help me. You know, it's like how many times you used to hear the story of the guy that goes into the store, you know, it's torn up jeans and whatever. You know, he's only got $100 million, you know, wealth, but he just doesn't look the part. So you just never know who you're going to bump into that can help you. So here's one of my points with come on, computer. Okay. This is what I'd like you to think about with networking. You know, one of the things that's been amazing for me being involved with CNM is the number of amazing people that I get a chance to meet. It's really almost like it's an addiction for me now. I love coming here. First off, I love our volunteers, are amazing people. And I get a chance, I mean, you know, not that I'm trying to have the most number of people on LinkedIn, that's not my aspiration. But you know, the number of people that I get a chance to meet because I'm doing this, 5 years, can you imagine how many people I have met through this process that I never would have met if I wasn't volunteering here? I meet some really great people. You're really great people. I want to get a chance to know you. So if you thought about, there's all these diamonds in the rough that are just waiting to connect with me, and I'm going to connect with them, and we're going to just find all these great things about each other and learn about each other and maybe find ways that we can network. If that became a tonic for you, that you really wanted to go out and do that, why wouldn't you come into this meeting going, who can I meet tonight? Wow, this could be awesome. Who's going to show up? Who are the newbies? Where? Red Tag, come here, I want you. You know, wow, fresh meat. You never know where they've worked. Wow, you never know. So, you know, we don't think of it that way. We just come in and we're going to listen to Dr. Mallard Owen, one of CNM's own, blah, 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 blah. There's more stuff out there than there is up here. Okay, so this is changing your mental perspective on what you're doing. Just like I started out and I was beating you up pretty hard about how are you doing being innovative and creative and going beyond for your own job search. It's about how do you look in this room and say, I can't wait to meet everybody in this room. How many of you actually really even feel that way when you walk in? Good. Why not all of you? So, those of you that have your hands down, how many of you decided, I don't want to meet now? Okay, so, here we go. True confessions. You applaud when I start, even when I say hello, and now the truth comes out. You don't want to network with me. Okay, would you please escort her out? Security, please see her out, please.
No, it's just that I spent $200 to sit down with Shira Harrington, and she told me, you're not going to get a job. You're just at 53, and I've also been told by somebody 20 years in Montgomery County Public Schools, I'm not going to get hired by Montgomery County Public Schools. They'll let me long-term sub better. lousy wage. But so when Shara told me the best you're going to do is, with a smartphone, organize 3, 4, 5 side hustles. And it took me a while to reconcile myself to that faith. So I do some tutoring, I'll do some subbing, I'll have a roommate, and maybe I'll do some other gigs. But I think, you know, I resisted. She told me that in March. And some other recruiter said, no, you've got better chances, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it's been a couple of months, and I think it might be wiser to reconcile myself to a reality, and then, you know, have fun looking for the part-time jobs and small-time gigs and piece it together that way. I mean, it's not that so it's an answer of the realistic outlook of, you know, getting on LinkedIn and expecting a, you know, $80,000 job in business.
Well, I think we all go through a process of trying to figure out.
Say something about realism.
Okay. Yes. We get the mic.
Hold
on. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, hold on.
Now,
don't pee in your pants now. Wait for the mic.
I'm 60.
Okay.
I'll do what I want to do. I got the age to do it. Now that I'm in the third age of my life, I really don't care what other people got to say in this job market about how unlikable, how unwantable, how unleft on the shelf I am. And this is what I have to say to them in the language of the Scottish people that I used to run with while I was in missions.
That's on my next slide, Edie.
Exactly.
I just couldn't.
That's for realism.
I have that animated on the next slide.
You must dream. You must dream. You have to keep going. And if it's not there for you already, you make it. You create it. And there it is. Dead, bada boom, bada bam. Hey, I lived in New Jersey for years. Bada boom, bada bam, there it is.
Okay. I see some more hands coming up. Go ahead. So we'll do a little bit here, and then I want to get to another other stuff.
This is named Mark. I want to give you a success story that works exactly what he's talking about. Kind of giving you some encouragement and kind of along the line of her. I've been out of work since January. You get out, 2 things. One, I had 2 job offers last week. Both of them. One of them, I actually just went out and said, okay, I'm not finding what I want on Jobline. I'm not finding it from stuff like this. I went out and started going out, and I started going, there's a community business partnership down in Fairfax that does how to start your own business. I said, let's go look into that, find out. I don't have a thought yet. Let me go find out. They gave me a 30-second elevator speech. Everybody stood up, said, my business is this is what we do. I stood up, said, I don't have a business, I'm looking for a job. 2 guys after me says, I have a business, I just got a contract, I want your card. And he basically was going to give me a job offer. As soon as I gave my resume, he had me rewrite it, because I never saw the position description. And he was going to submit it. Second thing is, we talked about reaching to people that you know. People that know you are the ones that are going to find you jobs. Think about your references, all of them. Contact them to say, I want to put you in as my reference. Give them your resume. I did that to a friend of mine. He has a contract. I'm starting work on Monday. So it is, the people you know is who's going to hire you. All your references, the people you worked with before, your coworkers, your bosses and stuff like this, contact them. Say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I'd like to use you as a reference. Don't ask them for a job. I want to use you as a reference. That frees them up to be creative and say, you know, I know somebody that might be hiring people like you.
That's great. That's a great success story. Congratulations. Okay, anyway, I want to hear some more about it.
No.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
You got to hear from Ned. The woman in brown. Are you a teacher? Are you a teacher?
Yes.
You shouldn't be discouraged. I'm sorry that you heard that message, but I may have an opportunity for you. And I just want to say, as far as networking and what this gentleman just said, I currently have 2.5 opportunities. And they are all, I don't know if they're going to pan out, but they are all directly from CNM. So make sure you come here and make sure that you take full advantage by meeting people, including speakers and volunteers.
Great, thank you. All right, so the whole point is, if we start thinking about networking being fun, about going out and engaging with other people and realizing the benefit that we can achieve by interacting with other people, maybe we'll get out of our funk of just sitting here and coming in and listening to someone present at the stage and not realize the strength and value that we have in terms of interacting with each other. So here's another exercise we're going to do. Okay? So what I want you to do is we're going to do another opportunity of doing do some networking. I want you to go around the room and I want you to find someone who either has the day closest to your birthday or the day closest to your anniversary date, whichever one that has happened. Now you can't come up and grab the microphone from me and say, January 1st, any takers? Okay, so you're not going to cheat that way. You're going to go around the room and you're going to find someone, and I want you to pair up with the person who you find is really close on either your birth date. Now I don't mean by year, so we're not looking for necessarily age. All right, sorry, I need to clarify that. By month and day. Okay. So if you're a July 1st baby and you find another July 1st baby, perfect. You're on the same day. You've hit the jackpot. I want you to find that person, and I want you to share with that person your elevator speech, no longer than a minute, and switch. Okay? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to make your connection. On your mark, get set, go. April.
July birthday? July? Oh, woo! It's better though. November. November?
No, August.
All right. You okay with that?
Okay, gang? Time to report out. All right, gang, if I can have your attention. We'll see how well you can... Okay, so I have your attention. Who thinks they've got a really close connection date? All right, how close are we?
19th of February.
Hold on. You're watching, I'm asking, what do we have up here?
19th and 16th.
19th and 16th of February, so within, what, 3 days?
3 days.
Anything closer than 3 days?
Same day.
Same day.
One day apart. I met a Greek baker.
Okay, we have 2 same days? Three same days? Okay, all right. Of those 3 same days, okay, so of those 3 same days, who of that pair, who do you think had the best elevator speech of the pair? We have people bowing out? Oh, you're supposed to do the elevator speech. All right, come on, I'm listening. Who had the best elevator speech of the pair? Is that an affirmative yes? We pointed Debbie? All right, where's the other one-to-one pair? You have one over here? Same day?
Same day.
Yeah, we're talking same day. Who had the best elevator speech?
The baker, I think.
Okay. Can we have the baker give us his elevator speech?
Oh my God!
There we go. Yep, there's the mic.
Take it away, buddy. You got it.
All right, everybody pay attention now. The floor is whose?
I'm sorry?
The baker.
Yes.
Your name, sir?
Tom.
Tom's got the floor.
Well, many years ago,
You have a minute, Tom. Now, okay.
I operated a bakery and restaurant down in Pasadena, and then I got involved in something else. But now that I'm really, want to get back into that, and I like this, the atmosphere, and everything that goes along with that, high volume production and sweets and everything. So that's what I want to do.
Okay. All right. Suggestions for Tom? Sounds like he's interested in it. We need a little bit more enthusiasm about what you're going to contribute as a baker working for a company, right? Yes? We agree.
Yes.
How many of you would like to see more energy about, here's what I can bring to your organization as a baker?
Yes.
And do you agree that would have been made a little bit stronger?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Tom, come here.
Can you do baklava?
Oh, yes. Yes, I can.
So since you're into bakery stuff, you might like a cup of coffee. So there's a gift card for Panera for volunteering. All right, great. Thank you. All right. Debbie, are you the next person back there? Can we get Debbie a microphone? All right, Debbie, you're going to give us your elevator speech?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I guess we're doing Toastmasters early. Early. Hi, I'm Debbie Pavlock, and I'm an HR professional with extensive experience in a broad variety of HR functional areas, including talent acquisition, which is employment and staffing, compensation, compliance, benefits, and some employee relations. And I'm looking for an opportunity where I can make a difference for an organization to help them meet their strategic goals by leveraging my HR skills and abilities to help them give high-end customer service to both their internal and external client. I am interested in a position either as an HR generalist or in one of the functional areas, but I do pride myself on helping my clients learn processes. As a business partner, a strategic business partner, I feel that I should not just help people to tell them what the answer is, but to help them understand processes and so that they can be self-dependent. And so I'm certainly looking for something, and if you have any suggestions or opportunities, I really love the opportunity to talk with you so I can demonstrate what I can do to help your company and so I can continue my career in the human resources field. Thanks very much.
Any comment here? we're going to give you a chance to go have some coffee over Panera. So thoughts about, so here's what I'm hearing. Debbie, first off, you know your stuff, right? Thank you. So here you go. Enjoy. So how many of you started to feel that that ran a little long?
Yes.
Okay? So great stuff, right? I mean, she really was covering some important things, but you can start to tune out a little bit, and you don't want to have that happen. You want to keep people engaged. So if you know, this is back to practicing that. I think you've got the raw ingredients there. Tighten it up, because what do you want to have happen? If you do a good, concise elevator speech, what's that going to lead into? Questions. Exactly. And then what happens when you get into questioning when after an elevator speech? You get into a what? A conversation. Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay? So just like I talked way too long at the start of my thing, you know, better to get into a conversation. Okay, let's do one more. We have a 1 day apart. What's next? What's the next closest? 1 day apart? Who did the best elevator speech of the pair? All right. Do we have a microphone that we can bring up here? Where's our mic? Thank you, Will. All right. There we go. All right. Let's hear it. And your name is?
My name's Anthony Guaglione.
Great. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. My name's Anthony Guaglione. I'm a professional fitness coach. One of the biggest pastimes I like to endure is, well, helping people achieve their personal fitness goals. I enjoy helping them achieve their needs according tailored to their own lifestyle and their schedule as well. You know, I have many accomplishments in helping people, two specifically. I've helped them lose like about 10 pounds, and this one person in particular, I've been able to help her effectively self-defend herself. And I'm looking to make myself a few more clients, you know, who can keep coming back whenever they see fit, and open up my own line of gyms, should the day ever arise. Here's my card.
Come on up, Anthony. We got a Panera card for you. Come here. So you can do some networking and have some coffee. So thank you. So what was something you noticed? Thank you. What was something we noticed with about Anthony's presentation? What'd you? Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry? Long-term vision. Okay. So
different the two times, but it was the same passion.
Yeah, so the passion was there, the enthusiasm was there. You know, again, maybe a little long, wasn't quite, you know, there's some things to tighten up in his elevator speech. But what did you get mostly out of that? You got his energy and enthusiasm. I would probably say of the three, that was the highlight of his elevator speech, was the energy and enthusiasm speech. Which do you think you were more drawn to? Forgetting about the technical skills, I mean, everybody covered some good stuff, but which one were you more drawn to of the three? Well, which one? Third one. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, wonderful guy, Baker, outstanding HR professional, all good talent, but look at the reaction from the group. Now, do we know that Anthony is like heavily certified? He's trained Arnold Schwarzenegger. What do we know about this guy? You know, for all we know, his comparative skill level in his field might be minuscule to what Debbie has done in her HR realm. But look where we were drawn to. This is why networking is so important. This is why practicing your elevator speech is so important. Here's just a little simple experiment without really fine-tuning, because I really do appreciate the three of you letting me volunteer you for this. So hopefully the compensation was worth being the one to speak up. But look at the reaction from the group. So this is where you want to practice so that you've got Anthony's energy. You come up with Debbie's depth of experience in talking about the contribution she can make, and Tom's humbleness of, hey, I'm a baker and I just like to do the work. Right? Isn't that what you got at Tom? Sort of quiet? You know, hey, I'm just a baker, I like doing my stuff. You know, and Debbie's going, let me tell you how I can really help your organization. And Anthony's going, I'm really the guy to pick for working out. Yes, Debbie, you're dying over there. What?
I have also believed after having been in transition for quite some time that you really need more than one elevator speech. And what I mean by that is when I go to professional groups, I'm so used to, I wouldn't say I'm an HR professional, but I have to be more detailed, you have to be more explicit, because those are the people you're working with and the people who want to know more, you know. When you go to a general group, you really need to have one, especially if you have technical skills. I haven't gotten, you know, to that yet. So in a way, you really need to be able to weave it depending on the audience you're trying to reach.
That's a great point, Debbie. Absolutely, that's great. Because different audiences, you're going to have different ways that you want to present the information. Okay. All right. Why don't you all have a seat again? We're gonna do a few more exercises. I got a few more stuff in my pocket. How are we doing? Are you getting the gist of this tonight? So, if you think about it when you're doing your networking, what do you think builds good relationships? Is it how well you can tell people what you need? Really? What do you think that good networking is all about?
Relating to people.
It's about relationships. You know, who's the most important person in the room when you're networking?
The other person you're talking to.
Yeah, it's the other person.
The person you're talking to.
So, I was just curious, how many of you, when you were doing your elevator speech, really felt the other person's attentiveness and listening? Like, you know, when I was trying to cut you off, I'm guessing that probably what was happening is the other person was starting to ask you some questions, right? Is there a little bit of that? No? So, I mean, hopefully that should have been what was going on. If you had an interesting elevator speech or you were sharing some interesting points to someone else, what would they be doing if they were a good networker? They would be pulling more information out of you. And what happens when you feel like you're getting a chance to talk and people keep on asking you questions and following up? How do you feel about yourself?
Important.
You feel important? You feel better? Do you feel better when people are asking you, tell me more, how can I help you, what's going on? Sure. What's the problem that we sometimes get into? I'm networking because I want a job, I'm going to tell you and you're going to give me the opportunity, right? Isn't that sort of how we go into networking sometimes? Anybody want to admit to that? Okay. So suppose you went into a networking opportunity thinking, I'm going to find people I can help. Would that be so bad if you went into a networking session and you were able to actually start helping connect people to people in your network where they could find opportunities? What do you think the likelihood is they're going to be thinking about you in the future? So let me even give you a really raw example. I give you a raw example? So I have been, what do you think I'm doing when I'm up here? Am I giving back?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How many times do you think people come up to me and say, Mal, how can I help you?
They think you have everything.
Isn't that wonderful? Well, I'm so glad I've conveyed that impression to all of you. I am just independently wealthy. My life is grand. I have not one iota of an additional need. I just love giving up my time. I really am Warren Buffett in disguise. Okay. So, but, I mean, isn't that sort of interesting? You know, wouldn't you think that if I'm doing a lot to give to you, that you would at some point in time say, what can I do for you? Do you think if no one is doing that, let's imagine, I'm not saying no one is, but imagine if no one is doing that, and you did that, how do you think you would stand out for me? Probably pretty significantly, right? Do you feel pretty good when all of a sudden someone's really coming to you and saying, how can I help you? Now, I'm not saying this, guys, because I can't, you know, you're going to bombard me and the next thing you know, I'm going to be driving my Maserati because you're all throwing money my way and you can't wait to help me. And I'm not pleading, I need your help. I'm just saying this is part of networking. When I work with other volunteers here at CNM, the way they help me is they help me do my volunteering. We work together, so they give back to me that way. And that's what makes those connections so powerful. Is it's not financial, it's not necessarily they found me a new gig that I can go make some money in my work that I do, but we give back and forth to each other in the work that we're doing. But those of you that, when you're coming and looking for help from within this organization and with each other, if you thought about it, it's not just about me, it's about how can I help somebody else, you'd be amazed what that would do to your networking ability. You'd start to light up because you'd see people would be so appreciative. That's why it's such a tonic for me. When I give, I get so much back from you in other ways than that, yeah, here's another consulting client you can go get now. So think about the importance of really listening to other people. And that's what I wanted to talk about the elevator speech because it is important. It's like one of those toolkit things that you have to have. Because if I say, tell me about yourself, what you're interested in, and you flumfer, and you go, well, I don't know, I think about this, and I think about that, and you're all over the place, what's my impression of you? You don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, how do I know what you want? So I've just tuned you out, and I'm moving on. Someone comes up to me and says, now I'm really interested in this, and I'm excited about it, and this is what I'm looking for, and they stop, and I'm going, oh, my mind's just going, how can I help them? You'd be amazed how much better that kind of networking works out. Okay? All right. So one of the things that I just want to touch on quickly here. So when you're doing your networking, you know, it's like Anthony actually brought that up when he said, you know, here's some stuff I've done for a client where I help them, you know, lose some weight and defend themselves. You know, how many of you know what a SAR story is? Okay. How many of you actually have some already prepared and written up to help you with your interviewing and so forth? So a SAR story is take situation and results, think about what you've done in your past, situation that you were involved in, actions that you took, and the results that you got. And what really is your resume? The resume, for the most part, is the R, right? Don't most of you say, I achieved this much, I grew this amount of revenue, I saved these amount of dollars. You go right to the results piece. But what happens in the interview process? What do you think good interviewers are doing? They want to know how you got there. Did you really do that work? You know, it's real easy to put the bullet point down and say, well, yeah, this is what happened in the workplace. But were you responsible for that? So they start getting into, tell me about situation, action, results. Well, when you're networking, I came up with an interesting way to spin this around, and I call it doing it in a little bit in reverse, sort of with the R first. How many of you, when you read a newspaper, what do you think the headline is? The headline's the results, right? That captures your attention. So it's like when people say, well, tell me about yourself, you say, well, you know, I was incubating for 9 months, you know, and then I was born, and then I was breastfed, and then I grew up, and you know, and you go, no, I really want to know, like, how are you going to help my company out? And by the time we get to that piece, I bored you to tears with, here's my chronological story. So same thing when you think about preparing a situation, action, result story, that's the logical thing you do in your mind. Well, here's what I was confronted with, here's the steps I took, and here's the results. What do you think is going to capture someone's attention? The results. And what do you think happens when you say, well, you know what, let me tell you about a time, you know, I actually saved the company $10 billion. What do you think that, and I stopped.
Well,
well, oh, there's a question in there. Guess what, you're going to get me to talk some more. So I give you a few more pieces of input, and then I stop. I say, well, tell me more. Now we're into a conversation. Okay? That's what you want to do with your networking is think about the ways that you have those stories so that when people are asking you beyond just your elevator speech, that you can talk about those things where you really light up and can show your passion. Okay. All right. So here's what I'd like you to do so we don't run too late here. At your table, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think of a story that really you were excited about, an accomplishment that you just, that energy that we saw in Anthony. Think of a time in your previous work life where you did something that you were really excited about. It's sort of like going on a vacation. Like how many of you, you know, when you go on a family vacation, you can't wait to come back and tell a story. You're so excited, you're energized. Well, think of something like that in the workplace for yourself. Because if you can get that energized about something you've done in the workplace, do you think you're going to react the way we reacted to Anthony with his elevator speech and go, wow, that's someone I might want to work with? Okay? So once you think for a minute, come up with your story. You're going to lead with the results. Then you're going to give your situation the action. And I want you to pair up and do that with another person. We're going to take about 5 minutes to do this. So I'm going to give you a minute to think of your story. Now some of you are going to go, a minute? Can I come up with that in a minute? Well, heck, if you have lived your prior work lives, you're going to be able to think about something that you were really excited about and be able to, you know, capsulize it fairly quickly. And then we're going to have you share that with your partner, and then we're going to switch and they're going to share it back with you. Okay? We got that? All right. On your mark, get set, go. Think about your story. Think about your story first, and then share it.
You said at your table, you say not at your table.
Sorry, we're going to stay at our table. My apologies. Just for a little bit of time efficiency.
Table with an odd number of people.
There we go.
Okay. That's okay.
I don't tell people
Basically,
Okay, you should be sharing your stories now. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. If you haven't switched, let the other person share their story.
long-term, but anyway,
Okay, if I can have your attention. Show of hands, has everybody shared a story with their partner? Everybody share a story? Show of hands, everybody share a story with their partner. All right. So anybody want to nominate a good story that they heard tonight that was compelling? All right, can we have a microphone over here? Where's our runners? Rob, who you're nominating? Paul? All right, Paul, you want to share your story with us?
Not particularly.
Well, would you be so kind to share your story with us?
Pay no attention to the man behind me.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so my name is Paul. And so my big story, my big success is I'm working IT. It's 8 o'clock on Thursday night. BlackBerry server dies. Completely dead. Everybody's off. Over the next 8 hours, I put it back together. You know, duct tape and string, the whole bit. It's now 4 in the morning, and I know because I'm nosy and I get into everybody's business a little bit, I know the CEO is going to Vietnam at 9 o'clock. I also know that everybody's BlackBerry is offline because of the way you have to do it. So, how do I solve this problem? I drive to his house, park in his driveway, and I get him up at 6:30, bathrobe and coffee, and I say, Bob, I need your BlackBerry. You can't get on your plane until I get your BlackBerry. So I reconnect him, send him off because he's gone for 2 weeks, and then I go home and go to bed for 8 hours and I'll come in the next day. But that's my big, you know, needed in the moment, had to get it done, no excuses, no exceptions, results.
Great. Outstanding. Oh, come on up. I got a okay, so my only comment to Paul is what was the punchline at the end, right? How would we, if we wanted to take Paul's great story, which is a great story, what could be the real punch in terms of when he's going and he's looking for an IT opportunity, what might he lead in with? Let me tell you about how I woke the CE up at the middle of the night to make sure that he could have a successful trip because our IT system was down. You know, if someone said, behavioral interviewing, Paul, tell me about a time where you went above and beyond to make sure that the business ran productively. If you started out with a story that you gave me, I'm waiting to the punchline to know what you actually did. If you said, well, does waking up the CEO at the middle of the night before you took off to Vietnam on a 2-week business trip count? Oh, really? Tell me, Paul. What'd you do? Now I'm drawn in. You follow me? That's how we take something that he said it with passion, he said it with conviction, a great strategy. Do you have a sense that this guy is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that the business is running successfully, even if it means he's going to go to the CEO's home? You're hired, man. Just change it. Just lead with your results so that you really draw me in. I'm going, that's why I'm going to pay attention to all the details that you gave me about what you did.
Real quick, IT project managers? Anybody? No, seriously.
Or December 31st, that's his birthday. What are the two?
I don't drink coffee, so anybody.
You can also do tea there. All right, it's also good for it. It doesn't just say coffee only. It's called a gift card. It has a numerical value to it. So you can use it for whatever you want. Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Great. Anybody else have a great story that you'd like to nominate that you thought you heard tonight? Here we go. We have one in the back. David, would you be so kind? He's got a big smile on his face. It's got to be a great story. Okay, here we go.
My area of expertise, if you will, is organizational leadership and development. And the company that I was with previously had given me an assignment of writing a servant leadership training curriculum servant leadership, if you haven't heard of it, is a biblically principled leadership. And I was, as I accepted the position with this company and that responsibility, 1 month later I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so I went into the hospital and had brain surgery, and was in the hospital for about a week and a half, and then after that spent about 3 weeks at home and was researching and writing, and then coming into the office and was able to write and develop that curriculum in about 2.5 months. And so then I implemented it and conducted over 225 classes and trained over 300 employees. So that was...
It's great. Come on up. Come on up. We got a card for you. Panera card. Okay. So now along the same line of thinking, what do you think? What would be the feedback? Do you think how we could make that story a little bit more powerful? And it was a very powerful story. Thank you. Is Colin? Is that yes. Colin, pleasure. Good to meet you. What suggestion might we have for Colin? What was the results? What was the punchline?
I developed a great leadership program, even though I was having brain surgery every time I did it.
Thank you. There's our newspaper writer right there. That's the lead. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's exactly right. What a powerful thing. Now you've got my attention. Really? How the heck did you do that? You know. Now when you tell the story, but instead it was like, I was in incubation for 9 months, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then, oh, and by the way, I actually trained all these wonderful people that now have this great outcome. You're leaving us hanging for that last piece. Lead with, that's great lead line. Hire him to be your writer, okay? No, that's perfect, that's spot on, okay? Do you see the difference? Because what we all do, and that's why you've got to practice this stuff, what we all do is it's a normal thing. We think, what did we do? Well, you know, I started out as a child, blah, 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 blah. You know, we go through that scenario, and that's true, but when you write it down and say, all right, now how do I repackage this so that when I'm talking to someone, they're going to sit up and take notice? Imagine if all the newspaper articles that you read, the headline was in the last sentence. How many newspapers would get sold? You know? Right? I mean, you know, end of World War II. Oh, we'll bury that on the back of the last page of the newspaper. We'll talk about, well, here's how the troops walked from point A to point B, and then finally get the last, oh, the war's over. Wow, that's nice to know. Why didn't you tell me that? Okay. Any other stories to share that you want to nominate? Who wants to nominate another story? Oh, we have one up here? All right. And your name is? Cece. Great. Cece, share your story with us. Now that I've given all this feedback.
Well, as a patient advocate, I was able to transform a doctor's office, taking him from 3,000 patients down to 600, while saving 100 elderly people from committing suicide.
Wow. That's great. And so what do you think, now that you said that, okay, so first I got to process when you say taking patients, number of patients down. When you first heard that, were you wondering where's she going with that? Yeah. Okay, so you know your industry, it's like, say it one more time, what actually were you, so by reducing the number of patients, what does that mean?
That would give him more time to have a life, because he had 3,000 patients starting off.
Okay.
So I transitioned his office, which I had to get him down to 600 patients.
Okay, so what's the disconnect for me? Usually more is better, right? So if you said let me tell you how I helped a physician, how I helped a physician have a manageable practice size so that he could have more balance to his life by taking, by going from, he had 3,000 patients, getting it down to 600 and,
And saving 100 elderly.
Right. Follow me? So this is, again, the value of practice. Great concept, but what do we all hear? We heard something that didn't jive with, well, how is that a benefit? I'm not quite sure. Okay, but it's almost like people in the government world going, well, here's my acronyms. You're going, I don't understand these acronyms. And so you have to, John Venable talks about, imagine your elevator speeches. What's he say? Like, a 16-year-old male that has like an attention span of a gnat. So you've got to translate that to the group. That's the reason for the practice. And I guarantee you, I'll make you a bet, if we didn't do this tonight, you would have thought that what you just said was A-okay. You'd be going out and doing networking stuff. You're saying that stuff, and people are going, I don't get this. Okay. Come on up. I have a Panera card for you. This is how I buy your love, right? Okay. That's only $1 card, so I don't buy that much love. So no, I'm just kidding. Anybody else want to nominate another one? All right. I see. People are pointing. All right, we got another runner over here with microphone. Who are we pointing to? Someone needs to like either tap him on the shoulder. I'm not who. Okay. All right. Okay. Great. And your name, sir?
My name is Frank.
Frank. Okay, Frank. The floor is yours.
Within the last year, we were able to help our incarcerated client get a full not guilty on all counts in his criminal case. What happened was one night, and he was on state parole. One night, he was out with his girlfriend, and someone created basically a bogus case against him. Because he's on parole, he gets locked up. He's locked up for 4 months until his case gets heard. We get into trial, and within 20 minutes, the jury comes back with a not guilty on all counts. So then he got out of jail the next day. Seeing the look in his face was more than enough.
Great. Terrific. Come on up. I've got a Panera card for you.
Thank you.
All right. So, do we think we could have had a little bit more punch at the lead in to that?
Yeah.
Okay. What? Somebody want to? Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks for being willing to share. So I would be looking for something like. Let me tell you how we were able to process a case where we got a non-guilty verdict on this individual that was improperly incarcerated. Something along those lines. Something a little bit more punchy that gets to the point, and then you can get into the detail.
20 minutes. He has to add 20 minutes. In the tagline, he has to add 20 minutes. Verdict, non-guilty verdict in 20 minutes.
Yes, sure. Yep. But that's the kind of stuff that first off, this is the value of practicing this stuff. So what you do is like a company coming up with a tagline. You try some things, you play with it, and you see what really works. And the beauty of being, so here's the thing I want to remind you. So I'm doing this as an exercise with you. Some of you may be bored to tears, some of you may be getting this stuff. But the bottom line is, I guarantee you got something inside of you that can be tweaked. Something that you're going to say some point in time when you're going to get in front of the right person, and because you didn't take the time to tweak it, you've just blown an opportunity. That would be a crime. That would be a crime. So the way that you're going to get better at this is to do the kind of thing that we just did tonight. I mean, how much effort did it really take to do this? Really? Did it take much effort to think about this? Had you worked on these stories really before tonight? No. Did you work on this story before tonight? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but seriously, these are, we just did this impromptu. I said, come up with a story. They came up with a story. They tweaked it a little bit. We gave them some feedback. Do you think they're not going to do a better job now when they go out and do this again? Of course. All of you should do this stuff. You got a great audience right here. How many, at any point in time when am I doing this, and I'm doing this in a big form, and I'm paying you off, so you don't feel so bad that you're doing it in front of a group. But at any point in time, are you really feeling bad about sharing? I hope I haven't made any of you feel bad about sharing. If I have, I apologize. You should feel good to share and good to know that the outcome is going to be you're going to be in a better place. If you don't share, if you're not forthcoming with this stuff, and you don't practice it with each other, you're not going to get in a better place. And what's the likelihood? How many of you absolutely can guarantee me that when you leave here tonight, whatever environment you're going to go to, whether it's home, whatever that environment is a better place for you to practice, and you're going to get more done than being here. If that's the case, then great. You don't ever have to practice in here. Then I'll know that you're going out and doing great work wherever that is. But how many of you seriously going to look me in the eye and say, when you leave here, there's a better place that you've been regularly practicing, and that's where you're doing it? Are you really doing it? Anybody out in there here? I mean, that's fine. If there's better places that you're doing it, that's great. Anybody going somewhere else and getting it done? Great. Our AV guy. Yeah. No, but you get my point, is that what environment are you going to where you have a better chance to practice this stuff and learn from each other than here? That's why we have so many people in this room, is because it's a great place to do this. Take advantage of it. Come to this place prepared. Come to it being willing to share. You know, when I see you guys get up, it's so wonderful to see you get up and start interacting with each other. You know, I don't see anybody like punching each other out, so it must be good conversations. So that's a good thing. I don't have to like go, you know, play traffic cop here and say, oh no, you can't communicate with each other. So you guys are ready to go up and interact with each other. It's just, are you doing it effectively? Are you doing it with purpose? Are you coming in prepared? If not, then why don't we just get out some playing cards and we can just, you know, shoot the breeze, and we have some coffee, thanks Will, you know, we got some bagels, and we just, excuse me, screw around for a few hours. We can do that. But that's not why you're here. And I guarantee you, I can be the most brilliant guy in the world up here, and I got probably 10 more slides of stuff to tell you, and you know what? It would be wasted. Because the simple things that you could be doing to really get good at this stuff, you need to practice. Then when you get the more advanced stuff, then it's going to be, you're going to be hungry for it because you're going to be fine-tuning things. Okay. On that note, yes. Go ahead, Tony.
I just want to share something with you. I don't know where your faith is or what you truly believe, but as a Christian, I found that witnessing about Christ takes away all the anxiety about going up to somebody and meeting. So if you've ever shared your faith, going up and networking is easier. It really is. Just walk up, hey, I'm Anthony Peterson. This is what I'm about. So if you're unsure about networking, try sharing your faith, whatever it is. So let's take the nerves away.
Well, one thing I wanted to add, going back to the teaching room. Yeah, I'm going to give my, I'll give my victory lap next week, but here's kind of the tagline, and it's part of the story that I want to tell tonight. I got the call that I was going to get the offer while I was volunteering. I was actually volunteering for a day camp here at this church 4 days before going on a missions trip. Because one of the things I wanted to make sure I did, even though I was unemployed for 7 months, was to keep my focus on something higher than myself and helping others. And I don't think that there's things that just happen by chance. That was during a lunch break while I was volunteering, days before going on a missions trip. The offer is 24% more than my last job, which was my highest paying job. And that's not even counting the stock options that I got on top of that. So I made it a point during this time that I was unemployed that I was going to serve, that I was going to search to get closer to my higher power, which is God, and made sure that was going to be a part of my focus. And when I went to the White House, and I got the opportunity to go to the White House with Mal, and that's one of the things I told the Secretary of Labor, that people forget that they need to keep their spirits up, and whatever that is for you, whether it's volunteering, and that's what the Secretary picked up on, the volunteering, but it's like whatever you need to do to keep your spirits up, and one of the great ways of doing that is helping others and seeking something beyond yourself. It's going to change who you are. It's going to change how you approach the other person. It's going to give you enthusiasm and excitement for when you're telling your story. So keep that in mind. And make sure that's a part of your search. And more than that, that's a part of who you are.
Thank you, Will. Okay, I'm going to wrap with one last statement here because we're supposed to be out of here at 10, and you've been very attentive, and I appreciate you being so attentive for me going as long as I am here. But one of the things that is the best way for you to build your spirit, the best way for you to build your spirit beyond prayer and higher power, is when you feel you're getting better at something, when you're accomplishing something. How many of you really feel good when you just put in one more resume into it, Indeed or Monster? That's just task stuff, right? You're just doing the deed. It's not really growth. It's not development. Well, when we can sit down and talk about how do you have a better elevator speech, or how do you have a better SAR story, or those kinds of things where you're really developing your skill in that job search process, where we can all say, look at how good I'm getting at this. Look at how I'm improving at this stuff. That's what we all want for you in this room. And that's all within your capability to do that, and we're here to help you. So thank you so much for being so attentive. I hope you got something out of tonight. At least at a minimum, here's what I hope for you. You made some connections tonight. Hopefully you got some contact information. You'll connect with them on LinkedIn, and you'll continue to learn from each other. And on that note, again, thank you all. We have to be out of here by 10 o'clock. I'm sorry to wrap us up so long. Thank you for being here. And if you like my business card and all that kind of stuff, I've got business cards up here, but I think we're going to turn the mic over to Edie to close us in prayer.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us honor God one more time. We thank you, Father, for your goodness, your grace, and your love. As we depart from this place, watch over us as we go from here to our homes of abode. Please bless us during this week while we continue our job search, our careers, everything that you have for us to do this week. We thank you, we praise you, and we bless your name. Thank you for your manservant. Thank you for the knowledge that we have gained. We give you honor, we give you praise, and we give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.